Hi, my name's Keith Cooper, Northlight Images, and in this video I'm going to try and address some questions I get asked regularly, and that's about new printers. When are they coming? What new printers are coming on the way? I have, I'll say right up front, no specific knowledge of this because if I did know of a particular printer on its way, I'd probably be looking at it under NDA, so I couldn't mention it anyway. The simplest thing to say is at the moment there is nothing I can't say. Now, why have people been asking? Well, they've seen price drops in printers and said, well, right, the such and such printer is a certain age. And I'll come back to some of these specific printers that people have asked about in a bit. But in general, price drops are often about the printer companies, and I'm talking mostly Epson and Canon here, managing their inventories, and also the fact that different parts of Epson and Canon are run as separate businesses. So if you see price deals and reductions in one country, it doesn't necessarily apply globally. So you can't always draw too much attention to that. What have I got in the way of real printers I can talk about that I've got coming up that I'm going to be doing some reviews of? Well, later this coming week, I'm going to be looking at the Epson P6500, probably the 8500 as well. I'm not going to be doing that here because it's too big for me. I'm going to be doing that at Dupley's test suite here in Leicester, where I did a presentation about some Hahnemuhle papers and using those printers a while ago. So I'm going back to actually do some proper testing those printers. That is a 24-inch, 44-inch printers, single double roll printers. They are 6-ink printers. So that is CMYK, 2 blacks and a grey. So I know from testing before that I can get, with good profiles, I can get good results on. But I want to have a look at the printers, see how they work, how they perform, and I'll do a couple of videos on that. So that's a real printer that I'm going to be looking at, but it's a biggish printer. Slightly smaller printer I've got coming in a few weeks' time from Canon is the TC20M. Now, that's a 4-colour pigment ink printer. You think, well, 4 colours, that must be useless. Well, certainly recent testing has suggested to me that with good profiling, depending on the printers and the images you want to print and the media, you can actually get very acceptable results. Why look at a printer like this? Well, it fits on a desk that I've got here. So when I do the video for that, I'm going to have it here. It'll be on the other side of the office, and I'll be testing it there. But my suspicion is, from having tested these printers before, that I will be able to get some very good looking prints. Maybe not to the level of this particular one here. This was done on a P7500, and it is, it's a 12-ink printer, superb printer, but P7500 brings back in a way to what printers are on their way. What ones are due for replacement? Well, I'll mention the Epson ET18100, or it's also known as the I can't remember what the other numbers for it. But anyway, for some bizarre reason, I've had one here, tested it. It is the best EcoTank dye-based printer for printing glossy photo prints that I've tested. Out and out, it's the best for that. So if you're in the US and quite a few other parts of the world, tough, you can't get one. Epson won't sell you one. That's a bizarre thing to me. The 18100, I say if you want glossy prints, and it is quite specific in media, you couldn't put a Barita paper like this through it or something like that. But if you want glossy photo prints, then Epson ET18100 as an ink tank printer is the best currently going. So, why they don't sell it, I don't know. Ask Epson in the US why they won't sell you one. I don't know. That's their business. But what's up for replacement? Well, the most obvious one I get asked about is the Canon Pro 1000. Now, the Pro 1000, I reviewed that in early 2016. That's getting on a bit. Now, I've got a chart, and this is off my website, and I refer to these charts quite regularly just for keeping an eye on how long printers have been around. And I see that Canon do not change their printers very often. Why? There was some mention that the Pro 1000 would have been replaced, but the pandemic and part shortages delayed that and things. I think that's not necessarily so. And I would say that most printers these days, any delays in them, they are waiting for new advanced technologies. Printers have, I won't say completely plateaued in their abilities, but making better printers is getting more and more difficult. I can produce great looking prints with any modern printer that's available. Some will take more work than others, and some will do a wider range of printers like this one. This was printed on the P7500 as well. Now, I need to put work into it, but the printing technology is a fairly mature technology in some ways, so we're waiting for new technologies to come in. The Canon printer heads, the print head in the in the Pro 1000 is the same print head as used in the 2000 2100, 4000, 4100, and I'm minded to think that until we see a new print head technology coming from Canon, which we'll also see in the larger printers, then we won't necessarily see a change in the Pro 1000. Pro 1000 is a great printer. Some people, if you don't use it much, intermittently, it can use rather a lot of ink in cleanings. Some people have said it would be nice if it supported roll paper. Well, be careful what you wish for. Roll paper is not the panacea. So it may have its uses. There was an excellent printer years ago, the Canon IPF 5100, which was a 17-inch roll paper printer, very much like, in some ways, like the P5000 that I've got sitting here. That was a great printer. That was superseded and never replaced. So if you're waiting for technology there, what about the equivalent? I just pointed to this, the P5000. Now, I tested this also 2016, if I remember rightly. You might say, well, that's due for replacement as well. Well, printers last a lot longer in model lines, certainly the higher end printers. This particular one, it has the same print head as the Epson P7000, P9000. So this has still got the black ink swap in it. What could you really change in this? Well, you could go to the print head, the 12 colour system that's in the P7500 and P9500, other numbers in other regions, 7550 and other things like that. But you could move up to a larger one like that. So a new print, no black ink swap. Yeah, that would be interesting. But if you're looking at a printer like this one here, the P5000, the main market for this printer is for proofing. It is for commercial print proofing and the likes. That's what these get sold for. The relatively few of these sorts of printers get sold for people making photos and the likes. Now, they're great for making photos, and they have a wide use. You need to use them regularly. You can't leave them unattended for weeks. They really don't like that sort of thing. But what could be the real benefits to this? It would take quite a redesign. This, the P5000, is a redesign of the older SP4900. And if you look at, there are a lot of similarities. So there wouldn't be a lot to be changed. The roll paper handling on this printer is particularly good. Now, this is a printer, it's got a print cassette as well. If I wanted a 17-inch printer with roll paper, that's what the P5000 is the one to go. The Pro 1000 has still probably the best sheet paper handling I've come across, so it's very good for that. But there are other areas where it might be seen to be, its age is showing. Any price cuts you see at the moment are purely marketing things. I don't know of replacements on their way for either of these. Certainly not this year. I would be very surprised if they were to come out this year. Next year, I'd give it a higher probability. And the year after that, well, they're getting very long in the tooth. And I would say replacements would be on their way. So in other words, nothing coming up soon. What about the Canon Pro 200 and 300? They're 2020 models. Now, Canon, and looking at some of my charts here, I can tell that Canon, their printers last, of this line, they last quite a while. The Pro 200 is a souped up version of the Pro 100. It uses the same print head. Likewise, the 300 and the Pro 10. The changes, there's been no real significant changes in the printing technology. What goes around it has improved. Now, you might wonder, are Canon going to bring out EcoTank printers of a higher quality? Well, at the moment, there's no sign of that from Canon or Epson. You can get good prints, but as I said, for the Epson ET18100, which is not available in the US, is the best printer I've tested of making glossy photo prints, color glossy photo prints, not black and white, color. But in a way, it's paper feeding. Other aspects of it, I won't say it's been hobbled in any way or something like that, but I could see ways you could take these printers and make them so much better, but then they'd compete against other models in the range. And you've got to remember when you look at this stuff that both Canon and Epson are companies out to make a profit. They're to sell products, and having products which kill off another product is sometimes, but rarely, a good idea. So Pro 200, 300, I don't see any updates of those for a few years yet. That technology will carry on for a long while. It's very good. 200 and 300 are excellent. I said the 18100 was the best dye-based printer for glossy photo prints. For the best dye printer for a wide range of media and paper handling and stuff would be the Pro 200. So we come, the likes of Pro 300, they're quite stable. They're going to last for a fair old while. What about the Epson P700, P900? They're also 2020 vintage printers. Now, Epson tend to get through the printers slightly quicker in changes in models. The 700 and 900 both have areas that I think could be improved. I've got comprehensive reviews of all of these, but I don't think they're old enough that we're going to see a replacement anytime soon. P900, for example, I mentioned roll paper. If I wanted roll paper, I certainly wouldn't get a P900 with the roll paper adapter. I'd get a P5000, which is built-in roll paper. This has got a cutter. It is just so much more. If you want to use roll paper seriously, get a printer that seriously handles it. You don't take a tatty small car and shove a big V8 engine in it without having to change an awful lot of other things like the brakes, the steering, the suspension and other things like that. In a way, if you want roll paper, get a proper roll paper printer. But you have to pay for that. And as I've discussed this with quite a lot of people from Epson and Canon, who I know lots of people in the businesses in the UK here, and they know full well that what people want is they want the features of a super duper printer, but they want it at the price of something they can get from the local office depot. It ain't going to happen. So you have to look at sort of how that's going to help. So the 900, the 700, I think they show some signs of being a change in model. I would not be surprised in the next year or two to see the 700, 900 updated. Certainly the paper handling is an area where I think could be addressed on it. Does that mean they're bad printers? Absolutely not. They're superb printers. It is just that in looking at lots of printers, I have to find subtle differences between them. It's one reason I never make recommendations of this is the best printer. Yes, something that is clearly defined like the 18100 or the Pro 200 in terms of dye-based printers, I can say that because I can back it up with testing and things. Other things, it's far too much of what you as a customer want. So what to expect? Sorry, nothing much new this year. Now, smaller printers. I don't really keep track of all the smaller printers. I tested a Canon G550 and it's a nice enough printer, EcoTank printer, but for some unknown reason, well, they know it, for some reason, Canon killed off proper colour management on their smaller printers on Apple Macs. Now, I use Apple Macs, have done for over 30 years. I don't use PCs for anything. A lot of photographers and people in creative industries use Macs. It is a wrong step, I would say, for Canon to kill off proper colour management in their smaller printers. Doesn't make people buy better printers. Instead, it makes people look at the Epson equivalents and go, oh, that one's still got proper colour management and that one works. Yeah. Now, none of these things are things I haven't directly said. There's a lot more I've said. Yeah, I chat with people from printer makers, and I'm asked for suggestions about what goes down well with people and what doesn't, and I'm happy to contribute. But when it comes down to it, if I can't make a good-looking print on a modern, decent printer, then that's my fault. And I say, let's say A3 plus and above. If I can't make an absolutely stunning print on one of those, then it is 100% my fault. Whether I'm choosing the wrong media, the wrong image, the wrong editing and stuff. Likewise, if you get a modern A3 plus size printer and can't make good looking prints on it, it is solidly your fault. No apologies there. I make mistakes as well. I produce bad prints, but that's how it goes. So if you want something new, look at what there is now, because there's no real reason to get new stuff at the moment. And I think the manufacturers know that. There's a limit to how much new stuff they can sell. Printers have plateaued. So if you've got any specific questions, please do feel free to ask. I'm not into a YouTube channel, a rumours channel or anything like that and stuff on it. This is based on solid knowledge. There is, as I say, at the moment, nothing I can't tell you regarding printers. And, please ask away. If I tell you there's nothing I can say, well, read into that what you will. But I hope this has been of some interest. But my key message is make the best of the printer you've got. If you haven't got a printer, we've got the best printers ever are currently available, so go for it. Anyway, hope that's been of interest. Please do subscribe to the channel if you find it interesting. It is appreciated. And as I said, ask those questions. Thanks.